Welcome to Life as God Intended. I'm Don Burzynski. We begin today with part 4 of our 6-part series on the subject of your identity in Christ. As mentioned in previous broadcasts, you're encouraged to watch the previous videos in this sequence so that you catch the continuity and the context of this series. Today we are going to consider how knowing your identity changes you. One of the most important aspects of your Christian life is behaving like a Christian. Well, you might not know that by watching a lot of Christians today. But behavior is extremely important. The only question is, how do you get there? What affects your behavior? Is it simply a work that you're attempting to do, or are you experiencing Christ as your life? So many Christians struggle with sinful behavior. And that is why it's so critical that you know who you are so that you might behave like who you've become. Knowing your identity in Christ changes the way you live. Christians often don't live Christian because they are absent-minded when it comes to embracing their identity in Christ. And as a result, their behavior doesn't always express the character of Christ because they walk after the flesh. Behaving as a Christian is an intentional choice on your part to walk by faith. An awareness and a willingness to participate with Jesus Christ and to allow Him to express His character through you. Notice how relational your Christian life is with Jesus. As you do, you will experience some of the following behavioral character manifestations. You will no longer be pursuing the desires of your flesh and the things of this world, attempting to gain importance. You will no longer be crushed by your failures and weaknesses, falling into pride from the accomplishments of the world, or for that matter, into despair over the disappointments or tragedies because of your own shortcomings. You will no longer be living the unstable hopelessness of the promises of this world. In 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15 to 17, listen to what John says regarding this. He says, "Do not love the world, nor the things of the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. The world is passing away, and also its lusts. But the one who does the will of God lives forever." Secondly, I want you to notice that as you begin to relationally walk in your identity in Christ, you will no longer live in fear. Fear is paralyzing, but Christ is liberating. The fear of God is the end of all fears, which is the essence of faith. You no longer need to fear financial collapse, or losing your job, or getting sick, or being rejected by your peers for your faith, or not measuring up to someone's expectations or standards. For all who are led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. For you have not received a spirit of slavery leading to fear again, but you have received a spirit of adoption as sons, which cry out, Abba, Father. Romans chapter 8, verses 14 and 15. And finally, you will no longer need to perform or compare yourself to others. What a huge sigh of relief. No longer worried about others, what others think of you. No longer trying to please and appease God or others for that matter. Religious focus is on what you do or what you don't do. Your identity is a focus on Christ, on Jesus, and what Jesus did and what he's doing now and what he wants to do through you. Religion produces pride and despair. Your identity in Christ produces humility and confidence. So the confident awareness of knowing your identity in Christ allows for God's grace activity to be lovingly expressed through you towards other people. The practical behavior of being Christian is always others-oriented. Notice it's not self-conscious, it's others-oriented. For not one of us lives for himself, and not one dies for himself. For if we live for the Lord, and if we die for the Lord. Therefore, whether we live or die, we are the Lord's. Romans 14, 7 and 8. Did you hear that word of identity? You are the Lord's. You are called by his name, a Christ one, a Christian. No doubt someone will ask at this point, but how is this wonderful behavior accomplished? Don't I have to do something? What about all those commands in the New Testament? What is my responsibility relative to those commands? Well, you're going to want to make sure and tune in next week as we discuss the all-important subject of New Testament commands and your identity. Thanks for watching the broadcast today. And if you have any questions or comments, please share them with me and I'll reply. Please give us a thumbs up for this broadcast and subscribe and share it with your friends. And until next time, enjoy life as God intended.